AI turns the ordinary to extraordinary by showing us the magic hidden in our everyday lives. Now, artificial intelligence is a technology that enables machines to mimic the intelligence of humans. Hello, welcome to Clockwise, produced by Neticent ICT. On this sanctuary of greatness, we discuss technology, lifestyle, and career. My name is Providence Essien, and I'm your host. Today, we're having a very interesting conversation. We'll be discussing everything you need to know about ChatGPT and ChatGPT-4o. Now, I have a very interesting guest, one who is deep and has deep knowledge about this particular field we are discussing today. But as usual, you'll meet my guest after this break. My guest is a cybersecurity professional, one with evidence and with result. Now, a tech enthusiast who has very deep passion for technology, for innovation, and for ICT. Now, without any further ado, with a resounding virtual round of applause, please help me welcome Mr. Ekandem. Welcome, Mr. Ekandem.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
Now, it's been long you actually appear on our show. You abandoned us?
No. A lot of things actually kept me busy.
Oh, you became so busy making money. I forgot about the Clockwise.
No, is it making money or is it trying to improve the
security,
security and build the next generation of security professionals? And then, of course, I was involved in a program, the 3MDT hackathon. So, fortunately, my team won though.
Congratulations.
So, thank you very much.
How many billions?
Is it in billions? Actually, the idea is not really about the money, but it's about the fact that these young people could actually build a solution, showcase a solution, and then demonstrate that this could actually be useful to people. So it's that ingenuity, that innovative culture among young people is actually what we salute in programs like this. So I want to extend a very big thanks to the Minister for Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Boso Tijani, for a job well done. That program has been very impactful.
And you've impacted the next generation of Yenipun degrees. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, we're having a conversation today on ChatGPT, and we may focus strictly on ChatGPT-4o. But as a build-up to the conversation, I want you to lay a foundation to this conversation. Now, tell us what is ChatGPT and what is ChatGPT-4o. Let's start from there.
Okay, so ChatGPT is a language model.
Okay.
So, like you already know, I discussed the last time I was here.
That was many months.
Okay, so GPT is short for generative pre-trained transformers. Okay. So what that means is that it's a generative AI. It's actually pre-trained. That is, it's trained with data. Yes, it's trained with large data sets, okay. And then it also has a transformer model. The transformer model is actually what makes it to function the way it does. So, okay. So it's actually a model that takes in human inputs, as in natural language, and then processes it, and then gives out output in the same natural language. So you could literally talk to it like a what we call a conversational tool, okay. Like what we can call a co-pilot. So if you have any challenge at all, maybe you're trying to prepare a paper, you're trying to prepare content, advert copies, email, anything at all you could think of, you just prompt the language model with textual input, which is human language. You don't have to write codes at all. You just write the prompts. It actually takes prompts in human language and then gives out output in same human language. So
now, if that's actually the foundation, now what are those features or improvements in ChatGPT-4o compared to the previous version of ChatGPT?
Okay, so we have we have GPT 3.5. Okay, that's the one that's freely available that people use. Then we also have GPT 4.0, ChatGPT 4.0, which is the paid version. So GPT 3.5 actually has a lot of features. You can actually write prompts, and then it will actually respond. But 4.0 actually allows some better functionality. For example, you can upload documents,
Okay.
and it will actually go through the documents and give you, and based on those documents, you could prompt it to give you responses. You could also, there are lots of things you could do with 4.0 that's better than 3.0. But 4.0 actually takes the entire experience way higher. So with 4,
Is that why they are actually saying that 4.0 is multimodal, like has?
no, it's actually not even multimodal. It's actually omni-model.
Okay.
Omni means it brings everything to one. Let me explain what that means.
Okay.
So when you talk about, for example, voice prompting, yes, it used to involve 3 models. So you have the transcribing model, the model that actually takes the voice input and translates it to textual input. Then you have the intelligence model, the one that actually makes sense and kind of processes with the textual input that has been derived from the voice input through the transcription. Then you had the text to the text to speech model. So you had 3 models together, and the disadvantage here is that you had what we call lags. So if, for example, if you try to communicate with the GPT before there's a 4.0, you realize that there is that lag. When you talk to it, there is a lag because, of course, you have 3 models working together. But this one actually reasons, 4.0 actually reasons across voice, visual, and text. So you don't need a cascade of models to be able to use 4.0. GPT-4o. So it actually brings all of those models into one. So it reduces latency, and it also is way quicker in terms of responding.
Okay.
Then beyond that, GPT-4o has emotional capabilities.
Okay.
That was what was almost completely absent in previous models. So you could literally, for example, let's say you are sad, and you tell it, please, can you tell me a story with a happy mood, so that I can you narrate a story with a happy mood that can lighten me up? Yes, GPT-4o would do that, and do that very perfectly. Number 2, you can, previously you needed to wait for the language model to be done before you can't interrupt it. But 4.0 you can actually interrupt it. Let's say it is narrating in that story, and then somewhere along the line you say, please, can you take that one more time? Can you say can you take the last? It's very conversational now. You could literally say, okay, please, can you? I don't think I am really feeling this story. Change to another one. You could literally interrupt it. So it's like a co-pilot. It's like a companion. If you're talking to a human, for instance, you won't necessarily have to wait for that human. Let's say you're telling someone to tell you a story, an interesting story. You won't necessarily wait for that person to be done with the story before you make changes if you need to.
Yes.
Do you understand? So 4.0 actually introduces that capability. You could literally tell it to solve problems. You could tell it, write a math problem, and then use your device to take a picture of that problem, and then tell it to please guide me on how to solve this problem, and it will guide you. Can guide you step by step. Do this, okay, and then let's say you have a problem like, let's say 10x equals to 20. 10x. Let's say 10x plus 5 equals to 20. 25. Sorry, 10x plus 5 equals to 25. And then you tell it that you want to solve for x. And you can actually have a conversation. We'll tell you, okay, why don't you take out 5? Why don't you make all x variables on one side and take the other ones? Okay, so what do? Why don't you subtract 5 from both sides? Okay, now that you've subtracted, okay, you now have 10x equals to 20. Okay, so there's a coefficient. What is the coefficient of x? It's 10. Okay, so what if you want to make x to stand alone? What do you think you should do to the coefficient? Remember that 10x is 10 times x.
Okay.
What can you do to make x to be alone, to stand alone? So it can give you that kind of guidance.
Now, based on what you've just described, you also agree with me that ChatGPT is a machine.
Yes, yeah.
It's a machine. Now, how would ChatGPT maintain context? Do you understand? And also handle coherence in a long conversation.
Okay, good. That's what I told you. So context means that, number one, remember I told you it now has an emotional feeling to it. So contextually, you can literally tell it the context you want it to respond.
Okay.
Yes, that's number one. Number two, I told you can interrupt it. So if the model is actually giving you a response, you can literally, okay, I don't think this is, I don't think we should work. Let's say, for example, you want to say, ChatGPT, please, how do I look? Do I look so fine? And let's say the moment you switched on your camera, you didn't turn it to face you. You turn it to face the ground, and then let me say the model sees the ground first. Then it will tell you, okay, from what I'm seeing here, I think I'm seeing a ground floor carpet or something. And then you tell it, no, that's the first thing my camera picked. So now can you look at it again? So it actually provides a really, really interactive solution.
Okay.
Yes, that you can literally work with. It's actually like you're talking to a person, another person. So it provides that kind of feel. Contextually, it provides that kind of feel. And another thing is, because it is so contextual, and because it works with less models, the likelihood, and because you can actually give it one context, you can, it can interact very, very closely with you. The likelihood of hallucination is far reduced compared to the previous models that we had. So hallucination is a process where a language model actually produces inputs that are not necessarily correct. And the key reason is actually either the prompt was not very precise, or the model was not trained with such a huge data set to be able to
so in that regard, how would
that.
ChatGPT handle vague questions?
So good. So vague questions, GPT-4o is way better in terms of handling what you could call vague questions. So vague questions could be questions that you don't give enough context.
Okay.
So let's say you're in previous models, when you prompt the language model, you have to wait for it to finish. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But in this case, if you prompt 4o, GPT-4o, and then it starts generating a response, and then you realize that response is not correct, you do what? You tell it, okay, I think you are drifting away. Why don't you consider this? And it considers it immediately. Do you understand? So the capacity to bring it back to context is what actually prevents that vagueness. Sometimes we not everybody is a prompt engineer. So, but sometimes we talk to language model, and like I told you the last time we met, I said a language model is as good as the prompt that you give to it. So even if a language model is so trained, like ChatGPT is about, the training is really large, and so rich, by the way, and then you prompt it with something that is vague. You say, okay, what is this? And you don't give context. ChatGPT will not be able to give as detailed as an answer it would have given. So, but with 4o, it means that you could actually give context along the way. So even if you did not start with a good context, for example, let's say I want to find out how to prepare a good meal, and then I said, how can I prepare Nigerian jollof? How can I prepare Nigerian jollof? Now, that's vague. Good. There are ways you could have done it, and you prompt it, and it will give a better response. And so, if you say, how can I prepare Nigerian jollof, and it starts giving you response. Now, remember, it's easier. You don't literally have to write. You can actually speak to it. Which makes it way easier for prompting. So then you say, okay, it starts telling you, okay, why don't you do this? Oh, okay, no. I don't have this, I don't have this. Okay, this is what I have. Now you have given it more context. Do you understand? Along the way, before now, with GPT 3.5, you have to wait for it to finish with that with that particular rendition first, that response first, before you now tell it, okay, what do you understand?
Okay.
So GPT-4o actually because it gives you the ability to interrupt and give it more context, even while it is responding. It makes it more contextual. It makes it more, the accuracy of responses are way more, because that's the best you want from it. Otherwise, you can tell it, okay, no, why don't you do this? Okay, what about if this is not available? What can I do?
Now, with what you've said, now we all know that you're a cybersecurity professional. And you're a strong advocate of security online and data security. Now, with all what you've said, how will ChatGPT 4, especially the 4o, maintain user privacy and data security? Because you're actually giving information.
Okay, so that's a genuine concern, because, for example, if you are telling it to do some things, the chances of you uploading documents to it is there. But you see, the reality is that it's actually a concern. And I know some places, some jurisdictions that don't want these models to come around, because they believe that it goes against privacy laws around there. So, but the reality is that a language model, like I said, is as good as the data set you use to train it.
Okay.
So, it's not possible for you to expect. It's just like you meeting a doctor or meeting a lawyer, and you want to seek to get solution to your problems, and then but we are asked a question, you say no, I can't tell you, because if I tell you, I can't tell what you will do with that information. That means you're not ready for the solution. So the thing there is that this language model, ChatGPT it has a very strict privacy policy, meaning that very personal information. In fact, as a matter of fact, you would see, you'll be notified not to provide things like bank information and all those things.
Okay.
Yeah, because the reality is that there's something called learning, and there's something called inferencing in language models. Learning is the process whereby the language model picks things up. Things that you feed to it are actually training the language model. Yes. And then it inferences, meaning that it actually tries to make sense of what you're giving to it. Good. So, in terms of training, the more information you give to the language model, the more it can assist you. And then, someone will tell me, how are you sure that ChatGPT is actually sticking to their policy of restricting access to private information? I believe, based on what ChatGPT has said, they themselves have mentioned that private information are actually not being used to literally train the language. What I mean by train the language model is, let's say I ask ChatGPT a question, I provide context, I provide information for it to use, and then someone else asks that same very private information, and ChatGPT will now pull from the data I provided it, because that's where the data privacy comes in. So the ChatGPT, OpenAI themselves have mentioned that is what they are not do. ChatGPT does not do.
Okay.
Yes, but for you to tell me that because you don't want your data to be your confidential information to be there's a chance that could be shared with some other person, that you're not going to provide that information, then that means you not just GPT-4o, but you might not be able to work with many language models, because these language models are actually trained on data sets all over the internet. But whenever you want to contextualize a language model, for example, you want to customize a language model for your own use, you know that ChatGPT-4o they also have an API, meaning that developers can actually use the API to build their own what we call reasonably sized model. ChatGPT is what we call a large language model, but it has a huge data set.
Okay.
You might want to customize it to you want to build your own language model, want to extract some information from there and build your own reasonably sized language model so that you can use for enterprise solutions. For example, like customer service, like emergency response. There are a lot of things that language models can do these days. But if you want to customize it that way, and then you want to pull some data from ChatGPT using their API, then you have to provide it with data, with internal data. Let me give you an example of what a company do. I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but what they do is it's a customer service organization. What they do, they provide customer service for an organization, a couple of organizations of that and all that. They use the company's data set, the company's data, both publicly and private and internal data. Yes, what we call knowledge base, to train a language model. Now, when they train this language model, that language model, based on the training data, can interact with a customer. So it can actually do the job that, let's say, 10 customer service agents or even 100 would have done. Remember that this language model, that it's working for one person doesn't mean it can't work with the next person. So like 100 people can literally prompt it at the same time. 100 customers could prompt it at the same time and it will respond. And now with this functionality, now you can literally upload. Let us say you are facing a challenge, which is, let's say, a page. You are working on let's say you're a web developer and you're working on a page, and then you see you say an error message. You could take a screenshot. You can kind of take a screenshot of that error message and upload it to the language model, and the language model will be able to read and interpret what that error is and give you real-time solution that would be useful to you. So the thing there is that this is a revolutionary technology to both customer service and emergency response, but you need to provide your data for it to be useful.
We'll talk more. We'll have a deep conversation when we are back from this break. We're back from this. We're going to look at the other side of ChatGPT-4o that you've not said, and I'll ask you those questions. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and put on the notification bell on this channel, because every week we drop amazing content. Welcome back. Now we are still with cybersecurity professional Ian. Welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now, before we went on that short break, now a particular thought actually went through my mind, and that is, you've used ChatGPT-4o before. Now, what are the challenges or limitations faced by ChatGPT-4o in first understanding, then secondly generating human languages?
Well, the reality is that if you look at 4o, or currently it's in a desktop version, if you look at 4o, maybe when more people actually have access to it, they could come up with it. But what I'm seeing for now is kind of, there's no latency. There is the fact that you can interrupt. It's actually quite seamless. It works very seamlessly. It actually is, it's a replica of a human that is actually interacting with you. Everything you could do to a human in an interaction, you could do it with the language model. And then it also brings in this, most especially this emotional part of it. You could literally tell it, okay, tell me a story, and then sing at the end. And it will sing a story that really goes in line with your mood at the time. And it's something that people have been saying, AI tools can't have emotion, therefore it's still inferior to humans. I think we are getting there. I think with 4o, with what I'm seeing with 4o, I think we are getting there.
So what are the ethical considerations that you're seeing?
Obviously, ethical consideration would be, like I told you, would be that some people would say, for example, I just told you, you could literally solve any math problem at all with 4o. with GPT-4o. So people will talk about the fact that students will no longer be encouraged to read their books because literally it could guide you. It's not just a case of it gives you the answer. No, it actually gives you a step-by-step guide on how to arrive at the answer.
Okay.
And these are the things that schools, through examination, test students for. And so if you have a language model that is able to do this flawlessly, then it raises the question of would students ever take their homework seriously? Would they ever take their test and examination seriously? That's a very core ethical question. But for me, I always like to think of things this way. Instead of having, what people used to say before now, it said, in the age of Google, what do you need memorizing skills for? I think we should tilt the way we look at education a little bit. So instead of having to teach someone how to memorize things and regurgitate during examinations, we should actually teach people how to use tools that will help them to get to an answer. I always tell my students in cybersecurity class, I say, if you think how you deal with imposter syndrome is this: if you think you are being hired as a security professional because you know everything about cybersecurity, then you are wrong. And as a matter of fact, you will never know everything about cybersecurity. You are being hired, rather you are being hired because you know how to get the solution that you need. If I want to do incident response, I know the tools to use. If I want to do a vulnerability assessment, I know the tools to use. Malware analysis, I know the tools to use. If I have a ransomware attack, I know who and who to contact. I know the resources to lay hands on to be able to solve the problem. And so even in my class in cybersecurity, what I do is I'll give them. When I'm done teaching or when I'm done demonstrating things, I'll just look for a very very tricky exercise. I'll give it to them, and then when they try their hands and are not able to solve, the exercise, I'll tell them use your co-pilot, and that co-pilot is what it's AI. Use AI. I'm doing this not because I want to teach them how to be lazy, but I'm teaching them how to use tools, how to use AI tools to solve their problems, rather than teaching them, you just have there's an award that is going to be given to someone that can do these things without any assistance. No, if you are placed side by side with someone, you have a very qualified security engineer, and then you have another person is a qualified security engineer but has a very deep background or understanding of AI tools. I will pick this guy because what the guy with the AI background can do, what the guy without the AI background can do, this guy can do 3 times over or even 4 times over. And he knows the tools to use, the AI tools to use to support himself. So for me, I think that it is not the ethical issue here doesn't really subsist if we understand what knowledge is supposed to be about. Knowledge is supposed to be how you could solve human problems, not how you could regurgitate information. No, that's not it.
Okay.
Solution. People don't pay for effort; they pay for results. Okay. However you get my result, I don't care. Remember what Steve Jobs said? He said, I like to hire a lazy person over a hardworking person. You know why? Because a lazy person will
find a way.
Thank you very much. Will find a way, an easy way, a really shortcut to get the job done.
Okay. Now on that, I want to actually, you're a cybersecurity professional.
Yes.
How will GTP 4.40 or 4o rather enhance your profession?
Okay. Thank you. Let me tell you one of the tools we use. We use Splunk. Splunk is a tool that actually allows us to analyze, capture, and analyze log data. To monitor critical activities in an organization. Okay. So currently, you have to write what we call use SPL. The language that we use to communicate with Splunk is called SPL. You have to use that language to communicate with it. Now, that is like a barrier to most entry-level security professionals, because learning that language, the syntax of that language is quite, it can be quite Herculean. Now, but think about it this way. If with this kind of, if you integrate 4o, that allows you to literally speak. So you could say, okay, for instance, you could say, please pull up all login attempts made after 5 p.m. Nigerian time.
Okay.
And it will do it. As in, you literally speak to it and you get what you need. It will make investigation, incident response ridiculously fast. So what will take you time for you to as a matter of fact, you could literally tell it, look at this log data. What do you think? What do you think is indicators of compromise in this particular log data that you're looking at? And it will tell you. By the way, Google, just on a side note, Google has launched what they call Seklama. So Seklama, it's actually a language model that allows you to.
But do you believe Google came late? Came to the party very late?
Well, yeah, because they were the ones that actually developed the transformer model.
Yes.
But apparently, OpenAI took it from them.
Took the business so fast.
And took it from. And here is the reason why we talk about focus and dedication. Focus. Google's business is search. Although there are a lot of things attached to, but their primary business is search, not developing language models, not AI. Not AI in itself. If you talk about, when you think about Google, you think about what? Search. Good. Now, but OpenAI is focused since creation. It has been focused on what? AI, development of AI. So, because that is its main object, that is its main mandate, you don't expect both of them to be moving at the same, at the same pace. So, OpenAI actually picked up the transformer model and developed it into a GPT. Now, I would say this: if you look at what we have, we've had Llama 3 from Meta, we've had Gemini from Google, we've had then we have 4o, GPT-4o from OpenAI. I want to let you know, having looked at all of them, of course, I believe that you've actually seen Llama 3 because it's actually integrated to your WhatsApp and your, So, I don't know whether you've seen Gemini. Gemini is actually integrated into your Gmail app. If you look at your Gmail app, you see Llama there. Oh, sorry, you see Gemini. So, having looked at all of this, I will tell you that 4o actually does way better. And remember that 4o is going to be available free.
Yeah, it's free.
Yes. So you now find that among the open source solutions that we now have, OpenAI is still the leader because that's their primary mandate. Meta is a social media platform.
Yes.
Google is a search company. But OpenAI is an AI company. That's why you see whatever they're doing, everybody's attention is focused on AI, and that's why you see
they integrate AI into their platform. They are actually going to lose business. They are going out of business.
No. So here is the deal. That's why you have the arms race that is going on now. Very serious arms race that is going on now.
Okay.
It's between Google. You have You have Google. You have Meta. You have OpenAI. Other platforms like Amazon is also building their own solution. Apple is these guys are building their own solutions. And then of course that's why you also see the winner in all of this is Nvidia. Nvidia is now nudging at $3 trillion. Wow. Yes, in market capitalization because of the fact that its chips are in very high demand. Nvidia keeps. I just listened to the last earnings call a few days ago. In $26 billion. That's what they brought. I'm telling you, that's what they brought in for the first quarter of 2024. So you now realize that Nvidia is the winner in all of this, and the fact the growth story of Nvidia tells you the demands for chips, because everybody needs these chips, these high-powered chips, for what? For training, to train their language models. Even 4o, GPT-4o is actually uses Nvidia chips. Very high-end chips that allows you to do these things way faster. So the fact there is that there is an arms race. Whoever will win in the arms race, you cannot tell. I think it's too early to tell.
To predict.
To predict. But you could see the leaders already. Yes. So the whole idea is that this actually, the way it is, the shape it is taking now, benefits the ordinary person, because these companies are now going the route of open source. Facebook started with their Llama 3. They just brought Llama 3, which was a powerful model. Yeah. And by the way, Code Llama, they already had Code Llama, but that was specifically for developers. Now they now have Llama 3, which is still for everyone. Very powerful tool, but it's freely available. And so these guys looked at, wow, maybe the route to go now is to do open source, because it allows developers to work, to interact with your application, where you, and all that. And then Gemini came out, made it available, and then you now have 4o, GPT-4o, coming out and being made freely available to everybody. So this is the important thing here is the benefit to all of us, the average user or the ordinary users. So people are now able to, without any hindrance, are now able to understand the capabilities, the insane capabilities of AI, most especially language model. And I forgot to tell you, do you know that ChatGPT-4o can actually interpret language? We could actually be talking, let's say, I could have a device with 4o, ChatGPT-4o, and I tell the device, I'm going to speak in French. This guy here doesn't understand French. So I'm going to speak in French, and I need you to, anytime I speak in French, interpret it to English language, and anytime it speaks in English language, interpret to French so that I can understand. And the language model will do that flawlessly. So as I speak to it in French, it will interpret to English language for you. So it could actually serve as an interpreter. That's it. And with very low latency, meaning you don't speak to it and you observe a lag before it responds.
Okay. Now, do you believe that is the peak of ChatGPT?
No, I don't believe that this is the peak of ChatGPT. I think people that saw the GPT 3.5 could have said, "Whoa, no, it can't be better than this."
Because what else could they do?
There are a lot of other things they could do. But the thing is that people, there are few things that as it goes along, as the experience goes along, you now realize, wow, this is an addition to what could be done. So you think about the fact that at this point it's still a conversational chatbot.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it can actually move beyond that, where we could actually literally have it integrated into real humanoid robots. Yes, so that it could actually be, you can have a physical feel. Do you understand what I'm saying? A physical feel of it. So that is an aspect that could actually make it look, I'm talking to you, I'm seeing you, you look human. I have this appreciation of you as a human. This is a chatbot. At this point, we could actually make it feel more humanly. Okay. By giving it some shape and all that. So I think there is still more to come in future iterations of GPT. Okay, ChatGPT, yes.
Now, how can, with all this you've said, how can businesses actually leverage ChatGPT-4o in enhancing their business?
Okay. So, for example, there are a lot of facets. So I just talked about security, which is my domain. I said businesses can handle security. So security might not even be something that you need to have an expert to handle anymore. Yes, because think about it. What does an entry-level security professional do? Monitor logs, escalate indicators of compromise, But I just told you that GPT-4o can actually do both of those things. Okay. And then at a very high level, it can actually take decisions based on the data, and it can take smarter decisions. Let me tell you why. Because now it understands context very well, and it has access to a larger data set that a human can think of. So let us say it has access to all of the data on the internet, and there are a few things that it can contextualize, which a security professional might not be able to think of on the spot. So you're looking at a language model that will make smarter decisions than humans. And so someone will say, oh, that means our jobs are gone. No. So I think people...
Why are you asking that particular question?
So I think the idea should be, I tell my students, don't try to push away AI. No, if you do that, then you are going to be pushed out of the labor market. Rather, think of how you can build a skill to use AI. Okay. To use AI to improve your business, to improve your activity or your career. So businesses, for example, would want to think about how they can attend to customers in a more friendly and more humane ways. So like I told you just now, imagine you going to, let's say you have a challenge, you have an issue with a particular service, and you just go to their website, and then there's a microphone, kind of a microphone button, and you just click at that microphone and talk to it. And say, okay, so I'm actually trying to access your website to book an order, to book one of your items, one of your merch items, and I'm having this error. So what can I do? And then the reply comes immediately, in real time. And then you can have the capacity to tell, okay, no. While I was trying to do this, I got this other prompt, and I tried to. That conversational. Imagine bringing that to customer service.
Yeah.
The only thing that happens in customer service now that people appreciate over AI is that they can actually be that conversation where you can actually change, make it more contextual.
Yes.
Do you understand? But that is what 4o is bringing to the table. So if you integrate this, it will make customer service ridiculously easy and more friendly. Remember that the language model knows about the entire knowledge base. But what typically happens in customer service, the way we see it, is that I've actually worked in customer service function, a couple of times. So what happens is when a customer sends a request, you look at that request and then you consult the knowledge base. You understand? If you can't find an answer, then you go to your Zendesk platform to find out whether what solution was given by another customer service that actually solved that problem. So it could take somewhere around 30 minutes to be able to handle a particular problem.
Yeah.
But because a transformer actually takes a snapshot of everything in its training data. So it understands it actually understands every single context. So it can instantaneously pull data from Zendesk, pull data from knowledge base to respond to the customer. So something that would take 30 minutes could actually take less than 5 seconds to get the answer. So that will make customer service ridiculously simple. So I'm thinking that businesses should think about, in fact, they should be very busy now hiring people that know how to prompt language model, how to build language models that will allow how to we have model gardens which you can just customize, how to customize language models that they will integrate into their customer facing applications, and then they'll be good to go.
Now, I'll ask you 2 questions before we wrap up. Now, the first question is, you actually explain how business can leverage ChatGPT-4o, how security can be enhanced, ChatGPT-4o. Now, can you tell us, how can content creators benefit from ChatGPT-4o? Because it's a wide advice. You're actually giving an advice.
So here is the deal. Do you know that with 4o, you can actually create your own podcast? Like literally, you can create a podcast in a fraction of the time it used to take to create a podcast. Yes. As a content creator, from ideation, from thinking about an idea to development to actual production, you literally have a co-pilot, someone that will lead you by the hand through the entire process. That's what GPT-4o offers. Now a language model that you can literally talk to and get a response. You could literally have. Do you know that you could literally have a GPT-4o as your guest? This is a podcast that we're having.
Yes.
Do you know you can actually have the 4o as your guest? Yes.
That's a very nice idea.
You think about it.
I think we should try it one.
Yeah. So that's the point. You can have 4.4 or GPT-4o as your guest. So you talk to it, it responds. You are asking some important, asking some questions. You can have a very deep interaction with it. And just like the way I talk, sometimes you interrupt. That interrupt function makes it even more human. Rather than having a model that you talk to and it will give you answers, and you have to sit down and wait for it to be done giving you answers, and then you prompt it again. No, you could talk to it and then, oh no, I'm not talking about that. Can you do this? Can you make
explain this?
Can you explain this part? No, that part is not that part doesn't seem to work. Okay, just wait. What about this one? Understand that kind of conversational. That's why you brought me here to talk to you.
No, you've given me a very nice idea. We should try it one day.
Yeah, I'm giving you an idea.
Yeah, we should try it
so
one
how much? So that means I'm going to send you my invoice.
Okay, no problem.
So that's how content creators can. So the burden of ideation. Yes, because sometimes you think about. One of the things about content is that the first thing people spend a lot of time thinking about what idea should I bring up this time around. Whereas with 4o, that burden is taken away from you.
Yeah.
So you have a slew of ideas that you can pick from, and even when you pick that idea, you could still have the model help you on how to develop that idea in a way that will be, and you can even give it the context. You can even tell it the audience that you are addressing, and then it will contextualize the content itself to that audience. Sometimes we as content creators, we don't really think about the audience. We just want to say something that, especially people that do podcasts, they just want to express themselves, and then you express yourself, not minding what the audience your audience feel about what you're doing. So when you have a language model that actually guides you in this direction, it means that you'll be able to speak more to the needs of your audience, and that's how you build a community as a content creator. So content creators are literally going to celebrate when they have access, when they lay hands on GPT-4o. It will actually make it will put a level playing field. So it's the more technical people you have on your team to come up with ideas and develop those ideas, the more successful you are.
Yeah.
But now all content creators will now have access to very sophisticated, ridiculously sophisticated tools to do all of these things that you actually needed professionals to do before. So unfortunately, all those people that parade themselves as content writers,
they are going to lose their jobs.
Well, they would have to either. When I say lose their jobs, I think they should actually think of using the tool to do their works faster. I have a friend that is on Fiverr. She actually helps write essays. So what she does is, before now, it would take her like 3 days to come up with an essay. But now what she does is, and she charges very, very high, But now what she does is she actually told me that she recently cut her rates by more than 60%. And then she would use a language model to write, and then she would give a more emotional feel and context to the write-up. Now, the emotional feel, the context itself, is now being brought by 4o. So that means for that lady, she's almost not going to
have a job.
No. She's almost not going to have to break a sweat to be able to produce the very captivating content.
Everybody can use it.
The reality, though, is that, let me tell you something. Will everybody ever be able to use the language model equally?
I want to ask you.
Equally. I don't think so. Okay, let me ask you a question. How many years has Google search been around? A number of years.
Yes.
But do you know that there are some people that don't know how to query Google?
Even how to open their email.
Sign up for a Gmail. That's the point. So a lot of people don't even know. No, if you say that is a little bit, but I'm talking about something as easy as querying Google. Some people will write search queries and you ask, do these people actually know what they are looking for? So that tells you that the more advanced you are in being able to prompt a language model, the more valuable it will be to the labor market. There is a guy that is being paid $335,000 per year as a prompt engineer. And then you say, is it not the same ChatGPT I'm using or prompting that I'm doing? He's a prompt engineer. But he understands how to gain more from that language model than you. So I think the tussle or the competitiveness has moved from having domain experience to knowing how to use AI to do your job better. So, for example, I can build competency, not in cybersecurity itself, but how to use a language model to improve cybersecurity. So that I don't have to do the hard work. I get the language model to do the work for me. And remember that language models, these are AI tools, so they will never call in sick. They will never take a sick leave or, they are always on 24/7. If you go to some companies, some of their help desk, they will tell you, our agents are currently offline or they're not available. But with 4o, which literally replicates human experience, total human experience, you don't need to have your team, your technical support team always on hand. No, because the model itself can actually take you through whatever challenge you have as a customer. And you will scarcely be able to know that you're actually talking to an AI tool.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of revolutionary experience that this GPT-4o will bring to businesses.
Okay.
Yes, and the goal actually is for people, especially people working for these businesses, to think of how to improve their capacity to use these tools. Think, just to conclude on this point, farmers, when tractors came in, they say, farmers will lose their job. Farmers will lose their job. Because tractors could do multiple times, 100 times what a farmer could do. But what happened? Farmers that learned how to use tractors became more successful in the business of agriculture.
Now,
so I think that's what.
Now, before we go, I want you to answer this last question and give me a very sincere response. Will AI ever displace humans?
Will AI ever displace humans? In the context of work, no, because
you need humans.
No, wait. As AI takes up some jobs, new jobs are being created. So, for example, now that AI came in, took up some front-end development jobs, a new job role came out, which is what? Prompt engineering, meaning prompting the language model. So human beings will always have a position in the world of work.
So we don't see a situation whereby they will actually have another form of AI that actually prompts another AI.
Obviously, we can cascade models.
Okay.
Yes, you can actually tell the current form. You can literally tell the GPT to prompt itself. You can actually tell it. But the point there is, as new these rules are taken up by AI, new rules are being created.
Okay.
And the thing about it is that human beings should be flexible enough to think about how to build the new skills that are relevant in the job market, rather than trying to build a skill that has already been taken over by the language model.
That's a very strong one. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. On that note, we'll come to the end of today's exciting episode of Clockwise. But before we go, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and put a notification bell on this channel, because every week we drop amazing content. And also do not forget that the illiterate of 21st century are not those who did not go to school or those who will not go to school, but they are those who have refused to evolve as their environment is evolving.